The Denver Nuggets are the overwhelming favorites to win the NBA championship. They've got a two-time MVP who's a walking triple-double. They've got an electric guard who can drop 40 or 50 on any given night. They've got size, they've got length, they've got shooting, they've got depth, they've got chemistry, they've got coaching, and the truth is they've got almost every checkbox checked to win a championship. But one person who refuses to bow down to the narratives and who's writing the history books this very moment is a man who goes by the name Erik Spoelstra. No disrespect to Coach Malone and everything he's done and accomplished, but the Miami Heat's head coach is the textbook definition of a man who's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. And today we're going to go over his crazy plan of beating Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. Let's first start off with their plan against the Joker. So we already know how dominant this man is. I mean, so far for the 2023 NBA playoffs, the 7-foot Serbian is averaging 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists per game, while shooting 55% from the field, 47% from three, and 80% at the free throw line. Sheesh! And the key point here is to emphasize that the man is averaging those stats. It's not a one-off game or a one-week stretch of great play. It's throughout the first, second, third rounds, and the NBA Finals. Then to top it off, what we sometimes overlook is the fact that he's doing this in the playoffs against the very best teams in the world. You know, it's easy for some players to stat pad during the regular season, but to do it in the postseason and win games is an entirely different story. But anyway, so far in the playoffs, the Joker has been a sniper from three, a solid mid-range shooter, and an absolute bully in the paint. Just like Steph Curry, you gotta pick your poison when you attempt to defend the man, because one thing is for certain, the man is going to get his touches, and one way or another, he's gonna fill up the box score. Well, it seems that the Miami Heat has actually picked their poison, and the venom they chose was letting Jokic do all the scoring and getting him to beat them himself. I mean, I'll use Game 2 as a quick example. Although he did finish the game with 41 points, Jokic only had one assist in the whole second half. Just one assist. And the thing is, that one assist came off a scramble after an offensive rebound. So it wasn't one of his deadly assists that we're accustomed to when the Nuggets run their half-court action. You see, where the Joker is especially dangerous is when he has the ball and is surveying the floor, or when he draws that double team in the low post area and finds the cutter. It's when Jokic is doing a little bit of everything on the court that the Nuggets are truly at their best. Now, in saying that, however, the Joker's insane efficiency makes it crazy to simply think that letting him score is the key to winning games. But if you look at his postseason numbers, there seems to be a trend. Including Game 2 of the NBA Finals, there are only 3 games where he scored 40 or more points so far in these playoffs, and it just so happens that the Nuggets lost all 3 of those games. It's a really small sample size, but the fact of the matter is, this throws off the rhythm a bit as a team and consequently takes the other players out of the game, and that seems to be one of the major plans of Erik Spoelstra. Funny enough, he was actually asked that question in an interview of whether it's better to make Jokic a scorer, and this was his response.
That's ridiculous, you know, it's just, that's the untrained eye that says something like that. This guy's an incredible player. You know, twice in 2 seasons he's been the best player on this planet. You can't just say, oh, make him a scorer.
Well, I gotta hand it to him. He did his best to conceal his intentions, but perhaps him covering up his face, then saying, "To the untrained eye," gave it up. And the funny thing about it is, to the actual trained eye, you know, like pro NBA players, this is actually one of the first things they see. I mean, Draymond Green and Steve Kerr immediately noticed this strategy, and here's what they had to say about it.
And getting to tonight's game, you know, Joker, another great game, 41 points, 11 rebounds, but only 4 assists. What do you make of that stat?
Yeah, you know.
I don't blame Spoelstra for saying what he said. I mean, why would he, or anyone else for that matter, openly admit their plans? It's just a bad move, and reminds me of that saying by Lao Tzu that all warfare is based on deception. Anyway, moving on here. The other crazy plan the Heat have for the Nuggets is limiting Murray. Now, I use the word limiting because realistically, you can't stop him. You can only slow him down. But anyway, the Heat did a great job of that in Game 2, limiting Murray to just 10 points through 3 quarters, and it clearly worked to some degree. And how they did this was by making Jimmy Butler the primary defender. You see, in Game 1, the Heat used Gabe Vincent as one of Murray's primary defenders, and as a result, the guard out of Kentucky just absolutely torched them. He was getting anything and everything he wanted. Jimmy Butler, on the other hand, has a height and strength advantage, was selected to the all-defensive team 5 times, and made things tough for the Nuggets star. I mean, for a quick comparison, in Game 1, Murray had 18 points by the end of the first half, shooting 8 for 12 from the field. In Game 2, with Butler on him, through the first 3 quarters, Murray had just 10 points while shooting 4 for 9 from the field. Now, Murray did catch fire in that 4th quarter though, and did end up with 18 points and 10 assists, so like I said, you can't stop him, but containing him seems to be Miami's strategy, and Steve Kerr himself also commented on that fact.
You know, I haven't talked to Spo or anything like that, but I can see them in their coaches meetings saying, Murray's the head of the snake, you know, not Jokic. If you just look at it, you go, well, Jokic is the head of the snake. But when you play a team, you sort of realize, wait a second, like that guy's he's gonna dominate no matter what we do. So this is the head of the snake, and I think they just decided Murray's the guy we got to stop.
You know, what Steve Kerr said just reminded me of something I've heard a while back, and that's when Nikola Jokic gets it going, you look and say, this man is unstoppable. But when Murray gets it going, you look and say, this team is unstoppable. But anyway, the last crazy plan the Heat have for the Nuggets is constantly switching up the type of defense they employ. You see, all throughout the game, and more so in the 4th, the Heat switches things up from a simple man-to-man defense to a zone defense. And it's not that the Nuggets don't know how to attack the zone, but constantly switching up the types of defensive coverage makes them slightly more uncomfortable, and it's the small things like that which the Heat are banking on to give them that slight advantage. And since they're outclassed in a lot of categories, they need every bit of advantage they could get. But anyway, the scary thing about this whole situation is, even when Miami did execute all these crazy plans while shooting at some elite efficiencies of 49% from the field, 49% from 3, and 90% at the free throw line, they still only won by 3 points in that game 2. That's how good this Nuggets team is, guys. And the frightening thing is, their core is still extremely young. I mean, Jokic is 28, Murray is 26, and Michael Porter is 24 years old. This team is going to be around for a long time, and it'll be interesting to see what teams in the future do to beat them, because as of the moment, letting Jokic score 40-plus points a night on near 60% shooting from the floor seems to be the best plan that one of the best coaches can come up with. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely crazy.